stiff? Do you have any areas that you're having, trouble with? So we can talk about all types of questions like those, maybe jiu-jitsu questions, and I would say life questions, but I really can't guarantee anything good's gonna come out of the life questions. So let's maybe stick with yoga for BJJ related questions and stretching, and what are you working on in your jiu-jitsu game? And maybe we can find some stretches that will complement that. So really excited to be here with you guys for a bit today. And I do have on the store some new shirts. So long sleeve shirts, they're really, really nice to wear. Like it's raining in Canada right now, unfortunately. So your t-shirt's a bit cold, but hoodie's a bit warm. And I've got a long sleeve shirt on. So you can grab one of these off the store. They're super comfortable, really great. And what I want to talk about today is really, really cool. It's about strengthening the hips, because we've been talking a lot about the outside of the hips, stretching those lately, just because I've had a lot of questions about it. And honestly, I'm like, yeah, yeah, a lot of the outside of the hips are tight because they tend to be a little bit weak, and then that makes them tight. And we just ask a lot of them, a lot of crazy stuff. And then that led to looking at triangles, strengthening the hips and also the movement behind the triangles. So while you're thinking of your questions, to pop them in the chat, let's talk about this. Level 1 for strengthening those triangles. If you think about triangles, the mechanics of them, we're always popping, well, usually if I'm in the guard and I want to slap a triangle on for some poor soul that's in my guard, I'll pop the hips up, boom, and close that triangle, right? Obviously, there's more details. You want the angle and blah, 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 blah. But for today, we're thinking about the hips, strengthening those hips. So I have 3 levels. Level number 1 is feet, I'm going to sneeze, excuse me, feet posted on the ground, reaching the hips up to strengthen those hips. Now, because we're super, super efficient, I want to do a shoulder opener too. So clasping the hands behind the back and maybe lengthening the arms and pushing the hips up. So this is kind of a nice small shoulder opener and strengthening the hips. You'll start to feel some fire in the glutes and hamstrings. And it's almost embarrassing how deceptively hard that is, and how much of a workout it gives. So that's level 1. Level 2, well, I have a comment here we can move into. The glute stretch for triangles. I know, Ryan, isn't it great? We're going to move into that. Level 2. Okay, well, in a second, is having the feet planted strong, posting the hips up. Now, bring the right leg up. So we're isolating the left leg and creating strength through that left leg. And again, if you try it, you'll start to feel some fire right away. And of course, you don't want to forget to do the other side. And of course, you also can do your little shoulder opener. So that's level 2. And level 3, it gets to be even more fun. Posting the feet, hips up, same setup, and same setup, right leg up, but now right outer ankle on the opposite quad. Really lifting that left hip up, strengthening through it. So that's a super fun one. And then of course, other side. Left outer ankle on the quad. And if you think about our triangles, the triangles will be flexing the feet and underneath, right? So this is a really cool way to also strengthen up those triangles. Posting the feet. And you know what? When we're in this position, it's not the biggest deal if the foot is flexed or if it's not flexed, but I like to flex it simply because in the triangle, the legs will be flexed. So after you've moved through all 3 of those variations, you can kind of have some fun and rinse it out just by doing, you know how we have this for triangles, this drill? Let's change it up and add some stretching. So outer ankle on the opposite quad and pull that quad in. So we'll get a stretch through the outside of the hip. So it's really cool. And then other side, to allow the lower core to join the party, push the back into the ground. So push the lower back into the ground, and then that will also really gently engage that lower core. So that's kind of something fun that I've been working with. And this also brings the sensitivity of the movement of the legs. The movement of the legs, mobility, and obviously flexibility. Because when we're able to do, and it's crazy how this is kind of a little bit, it's not hard, but it's interesting. Right? It's interesting to do to start with. I've been doing a lot, so I'm getting pretty used to it. But if you start with it and you go, oh man, this will make it way easier to be slapping on those triangles. And if you have the hip strength to pop up, it makes it even more interesting. So that's some fun strengthening through the triangles that I've been working with. And I'm waiting, send over any questions that you have, or even just comments. And when you start, I'm really curious to hear how, if that really makes a difference for you. And it's like the things where you're strengthening the weakest links, right? The weakest links of, and then it makes everything else stronger. And this is one of them, and it's something you can do on your own. So I want you to try it out. Let me know how it goes. Today, I have uploaded a class that is really cool. Like, you know, have you ever been all day, like you're like either been working all day or you've gone to training or you trained a lot today and you're just tired and you feel like whether you've trained a lot, you kind of need to move a little bit to rinse it out. Or if you've been working, like I've been on my desk all day and I'm like, okay, I kind of just want to stretch a bit to rinse all of this out, but I don't want anything crazy. So this class is basically the equivalent of flossing your teeth every day. It's something you can do every day, and I love it. And we start with some really great stretches through the hamstrings. You'll need your jiu-jitsu belt, and you start some really nice stretches through those hamstrings, and then move to the outer hips again, because the outer hips tend to get so tight. And after that, going into I have my little puppy. She's whining because she wants to get up on the couch. And then going from the outer legs into a really nice basic opener here. So having the bottom of the leg into the quad and moving between these, like moving between the knee, feeling the difference of the same position, different things in the same position over the knee, and then stretching the hamstring, and then just a simple forward fold. More people should do jiu-jitsu. You know what? It's so true. And I think it's like more people should do jiu-jitsu. I think it's like you don't know what you're missing out on if you don't do it, right? So it's like a really good cup of coffee. You don't know what you're missing out on. Finally you have one, you're like, oh my goodness, if you don't drink coffee, then do your equivalent of tea or whatever. But it's such an amazing world, and I call it, you know, when people try their first jiu-jitsu class, I'd be like, welcome to the dark side, because there's so many elements to it, and it never ends. And I thought when I got my black belt, it's always my goal, I get my black belt, then I'll be set up, then I'll be good. And I'm like, man, getting my black belt is at the beginning of the journey, you know? And then now in regards to the yoga, I'm learning all the yoga stuff and connecting that to the jiu-jitsu, and I'm like, man, like I'm a white belt all over again. But the more you learn, the more you realize how much you need to learn. So it's almost like the better you are at something, the more you realize you need to learn. Like you're like, oh, I got this, but I need to learn this and this and this and this. Today is our next set of our teacher training. So our second weekend of the teacher training, and last weekend went really, really well. So we have right now it's online. I'm really excited for when we can meet in person again, because that was just an unbelievable amount of fun in person. But you know what? Online, there's elements that are really cool that you can't really do in person. So both of them are incredibly valuable in person, online, and we created challenges for each of them that you can't do in person or online, either or. So like some of the challenges in person we can't do online. Some of the challenges online we can't do in person. So it's really, really cool. And it's an amazing group. We have a lot of academy owners in the group and a lot of really good discussions. There's structured discussions around the instructing, around the training, around the concepts that we teach. And it's really fun. So today we have our second run of those. And if you're interested in being a Yoga for BJJ instructor, you can shoot me a DM on Instagram. Go ahead and do that. So let me see. Hey, Rabbi Rail, some stretches to open the hips up. Oh, I got such a great stretch for you. You know what I want you to try to open the hips. So good for the open guard. Go on to all fours, so hands and knees. Hands and knees. Then take your favorite foot. For me, it'll be my left, so I can show you guys. Left foot to the outside of the left hand. This will stretch the inside of the left foot and also the front of the back hip. So you're stretching both. It's called lizard. And I'm gonna switch legs, you can see. So the inside of the right leg and then the right leg and then the front of the left hip. And if you want to intensify it, you can tuck the back toes and lift the hips. So that's super, super cool. And I'll tuck the toes and lift the back hip, and that'll make the stretch go just from the top of the hip, almost all the way down the quad too. So that's a really nice stretch to open the hips. I recommend doing that first, and then another really great one to do after that is one of my favorites, 90-90. So it's exactly like it sounds. You get a 90-degree angle with the front leg, and then your 90-degree angle with the back leg, and both hands, just put them on either side of the knee, maybe on either side of the shin, either side of the foot. So you can play here a little bit and see what helps with it, right? See what feels good, see what helps, and transition, of course, to the other side. So I just uploaded a class, which is phenomenal for the hips last week. It's still on the banner. And it's called like an outer hip class, but we do stretch the inside of the hips too. So either do these two stretches, the lizard 90-90, or jump online and do that class. It's about 30 minutes and it's just unreal. You just finished the foundation program on the app and it's awesome. That's from K7. What did you like about the foundation program? I want to know what you liked about it. I know what I liked about it when I did it, but I want to know why you liked it. So the foundation program it's just unreal, beginning to flow, putting everything together. And the neat thing about yoga is you do everything on the left and right side equally. Like in jiu-jitsu, I'm always sticking more to one side, right? I have my favorite things to do on one side, favorite things to do on the other side. But yoga balances that. We do the same thing on the left and right side. So it's really cool. I'm becoming like the biggest geek ever. But that's okay because it'll make my jiu-jitsu even better. I think after you hit like 30, you're just, or maybe even earlier, you're just like, I don't care. I'm learning about everything I can to make my jiu-jitsu better. So send any over questions you have. Otherwise, I'm going to get ready for our second weekend of the online teacher training. We've got a whole bunch of stuff for the graduates, those lucky guys that they don't have any idea about, but I'm pretty excited about it coming up. All right, everybody, super fun to hang out with you, and I will see you all next week.